Hello, adventurers! My name is Chance, welcome to my spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the 50th episode of our background series. Heck yeah! Oh man, such a good feeling, let me tell you. Walking on cloud nine. Today we're going to be talking about the bounty, or the urban bounty hunter rather, and it is found in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide. Now, if this is the first time you're watching one of these videos and you'd like to check out all 54 backgrounds currently existing in Dungeons & Dragons 5e, please do check out the playlist by either clicking on that little eye icon up top there, or waiting until the end of the video and clicking on one of the little end cards there. That being said, let's dive right on into the Urban Bounty Hunter by first taking a look at its description. Before you became an adventurer, your life was already full of conflict and excitement because you made a living tracking down people for pay. Unlike some people who collect bounties, though, you aren't a savage who follows quarry through the wilderness. Basically, you do it in cities, a little bit more professional, a little bit more organized. Overall, though, I don't want to say similar skill set, but same vein of people would likely be attracted to either of these professions. Now let's move on to its mechanics here. Under skill proficiency, there's actually quite a bit of customization here, so you can choose two from Deception, Insight, Persuasion, and Stealth, depending on what kind of a bounty hunter you're likely to be. If you're more of a fly-by-night, kidnap people while they're sleeping type of bounty hunter, maybe Insight and Stealth are for you. But if you are likely to convince people to come along with you to get ice cream or something, and then you slap some manacles on them, well, then you're likely to pick Deception and Persuasion. So it really does come down to what kind of a style you want to use. That being said, I don't know, just have fun with it. Moving on to its tool proficiencies, you gain one type of gaming set, dragon chest, cards, dice, whatever, one musical instrument, and thieves tools, which make this one of the only backgrounds with 3 tool proficiencies you get, which is super awesome. Especially thieves tools. Thieves tools are just super useful in so many different ways. Your imagination really is the only limitation. And under equipment, you get a set of clothes and a pouch containing 20 GP, which is essentially double the standard. Very cool stuff, really like it. These are some of the stronger mechanics that we've covered so far, and maybe even the strongest mechanics in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide as a whole. Now let's move on to its feature, which is pretty dang cool as well. This one is called Ear to the Ground. You are in frequent contact with people in the segment of society that your chosen quarry moves through. These people might be associated with the criminal underworld, the rough and tumble folk of the streets, or members of high society. These connections come in a form of a contact in any city you visit, a person who provides information about the people and places of the local area. This is just great stuff overall. It reads very similarly to the criminals feature, which gives them an informant very similar to this. That being said, though, this exists in every city. It's never the same person, so the DM can have a lot of fun creating individual characters, or even reusing some old ones as needed. Outside of that, this is a form of advanced rumor mill, with potentially some plot hooks dangled in, and a ton of room for exposition. This is great stuff. Mechanically, however, it doesn't really do a ton for you. It doesn't provide you with room and board, although it might, depending on circumstances, but it doesn't expressly say it. This really is more of a tool for the dungeon master than it is for the player. However, having a consistent source of expositional information will likely benefit the party as a whole over the long run. Now let's move on to some suggested characteristics here. For the example's personality trait I went with, I always have a plan for what to do when things go wrong. Under ideal charity, I steal from the wealthy so that I can help people in need. and this ticks you towards the good direction of the alignment. Under bond, I will become the greatest thief that ever lived. And flaw, I turn tail and run when things look bad. What I was going for here was kind of like a Robin Hood-esque character, or even some twisted version of Don Quixote. That being said, there's really a lot you can do with this. But just because you are an urban bounty hunter doesn't necessarily mean you operate from within the confines of the law. You could be hired out from a rogues guild or something of that fashion to assassinate or steal away members of high society. It really is just up to you and the DM to come up with a compelling enough narrative and facilitate in a way where it does match up with your level and it facilitates your interaction with the party initially, after which you decide to stick together. With all that out of the way, let's get to my personal thoughts on the Urban Bounty Hunter. If you can't tell, I really like it. The Sword Coast Adventures Guide gets knocked around a little bit in terms of the backgrounds, and a couple of the other pieces of content it provides. And of course I understand that it gives some pretty decent spells, some rather notable ones actually, but overall the book left a lot of people just kind of like meh, nothing too exciting about it. However, the Urban Bounty Hunter is among my favorites in terms of backgrounds presented in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, so I really like it. And for whatever reason, despite the fact that this book's been out for so long, I don't see a ton of people playing as them, and I'd like to think that this video might go some way towards changing that. They have great proficiencies, and they can choose their proficiencies as well, which is really nice, especially if you are already playing a class that has some of these proficiencies already. It lets you kind of pick what you don't have. Looking at the tool proficiencies as well, just great stuff. Having thieves tools is always beneficial, and having a musical instrument might give you an interesting way to make money, or an interesting way to meet people or steal attention away from the rest of your party. And looking at their equipment, although there's not really much, having twice the starting amount of gold that most other backgrounds will give you is certainly likely to help you out over the long run. Their feature is really nice in terms of world building, exposition, and moving the plot along at a decent pace, so a lot of dungeon masters should be able to capitalize on that very swiftly. And their characteristics can be wide and varied, being both evil, good, or somewhere in between. So for all those reasons, I really like the Urban Bounty Hunter. Now, let me know what you think of them down beneath in the comments section. Be sure to mention any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, ideas, or even stories of your own. And of course, if you'd like to gain access to a free one-shot, you can do so by checking out the guild hall and using code WELCOME. That being said, guys, I hope you all have a great day, and as always, happy adventuring.